Welcome back to the Stop the Noise podcast. I'm excited today to have our special guest, Urko Wood, on the show. Urko's a founder, he's an experienced consultant, he's a business writer who's built a really impressive career helping businesses of all kinds of sizes find opportunities for growth, mainly through innovation. So for the last 10 years, he has been founder and innovation guide at Reveal Growth Consultants. And as I said, he's a contributing writer. He writes about innovation and growth strategy for the Business Journal. So I think we're really lucky to have him with us today. And we're going to talk about a unique approach to innovation called Jobs to be Done. And we're going to dig into some common mistakes that companies make with innovation and how to get better at it. And I'm really looking forward to this. So Urko, welcome to the show.
Welcome. Thank you, Susan. Good to be here.
It's good to have you here. So you heard my introduction, and I'm curious, when you meet a new prospect or you meet a new person, how do you explain what you do?
You wonder how on earth does he do that? Believe me, it's been challenging, but here's what I say now, and you can tell me if it works. You know how a lot of businesses launch new offerings that nobody wants to buy?
Yeah.
We fix that problem. And we do that by helping them, our clients, turn innovation and growth into a repeatable business process.
So would it be fair to say that a lot of companies are missing a really tremendous opportunity to grow because they view innovation as being too risky?
Yes, I think that's a very astute observation and accurate, and not something people are aware of. Because, there's a wonderful quote, I'm gonna have to paraphrase it, by a Wharton professor, Russell Ackoff, who said, essentially, if you have agreement about a problem and disagreement about the solution, well, you have a problem. But if you have disagreement about the problem and disagreement about the solution, you have a mess. And I think that's a pretty good description of what's going on in innovation today, because unfortunately, there's been a lot of misbeliefs. Probably the chief misbelief causing the most mischief. And I shouldn't say it too lightly, because it's, billions of dollars are lost because people think customers cannot tell us what they want. And that's not true. People can tell us what they want if we ask them what they want to accomplish, rather than asking them for product or service specifications. But that simple little confusion leads people to generating ideas, trying to test them and resonate, which isn't good science. It's trial and error. It's guessing. But if you can solve for the customer need first and get clarity about what exactly are they trying to get done, how do they measure success, and where do they struggle in their effort to get that job done, given their current product or service solution, that's critical information that drives success again and again and again. But see, most people don't know what kind of needs or customer inputs to obtain. So of course, we're going to have confusion and a mess.
You know what's really interesting about that, even outside of the realm of innovation, is that we're trying to teach salespeople to do exactly what you just said, to understand what the prospect's challenges are,
yes,
what the problem is, before they start talking about features and functionality.
Exactly.
And if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying, hey, we forget all the great ideas. Let's understand what the issues are first.
Exactly. I've done some lectures, and I had one senior leader say, this is exactly what I learned in leadership training back when I was a junior executive. And I said, can you say some more? What are you referring to? He said, well, we were doing problem solving and leadership skills with this consultant, and she asked us a question, and a bunch of us started jumping into solutions. She said, whoa, we haven't defined the problem yet. And I said, exactly. I mean, this actually is a big problem in all communication. We presume we know what the other person is talking about. We presume we know what the word they used means, particularly with customers. and we're often wrong. There's often a big disconnect in communication. And you can't afford, if you're in charge of an innovation program or your company's growth, you have to differentiate through new and improved offerings. And you better get crystal clear about what your customers want and not spend time and money speculating because there was a word confusion or some other kind of speculation.
So there's a certain way to ask, there's the right questions to ask, and then there's a way to ask those questions, isn't there? So that you're not, you're not leading with your own interpretations
Yes,
and
yes,
screwing up
very good
the
point.
results.
Yeah, there's always going to be some social desirability bias, and that is what you're referring to, is people want to appease, they want to be approved of by the interviewer, they want to be liked, but there are a lot of ways to minimize that. We often do individual interviews instead of group interviews because it
Yeah.
takes away the group dynamic, which is a big part of social desirability bias. You have to make a safe place. You have to make sure you really are a non-judgmental person and they can trust you with their confidential, often depending on what the nature of the product is, it can be often shame-filled, difficult emotions. But if you know how to do that, I have a master's in psych and a master's in marketing, so that's helped me some. But anybody that's empathetic, that is emotionally intelligent, can create a safe place for that person, and it can be like therapy in that case. So you can do it in a way that's actually really exciting for them, and they're eager to explore the issues with you if they know this is anonymous, this person is safe, and I'm not going to be judged.
So then when does this come into play? When you say with your clients, they're looking for ways to grow beyond acquisitions and the usual, go get some more clients. And they call you in to help identify what they should be doing and how they should be doing it.
Well, it happens. It's a little different for different companies. One thing that is probably most common is we're looking for new revenue streams. We want to create new revenue streams.
Yeah.
So, there are others say, hey, we have a core product. There's a lot of competition. They don't say, can we leapfrog? I can help them leapfrog the competition with this approach. We can get into that more later. But so nailing a core market, or I should say a core job, you grow a core market by nailing a core job to be done. That's what a core market is. Other jobs that are important and unsatisfied are new or potential new market opportunities. So maybe I'll give you an example so it's not so theoretical. There's an accounting firm here in Central Ohio. They're regional. They're in Pennsylvania, Indiana, Kentucky, elsewhere. And a lot of new entrants were jumping into the market and lowballing what the two key offerings that are 85% of most accounting firms' revenue, which is tax and audit. And you can't really differentiate on compliance work. Nobody wants to spend more money for a particularly good audit or a particularly good tax work. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but that's generally true conventional wisdom. They've told me this on compliance work. So they're having difficulty hitting their both revenue and profit goals with all these new entrants lowballing their fees. So they came and said, and I had met the managing partner at a conference and talked a little bit, so she knew a little bit about what I do. And I met with the partners, and first thing we want to do is redefine the market from the customer's point of view. This is an essential thing that most people don't even think about. We typically define markets according to the product or service that we deliver, and maybe the size of the market based on the historical revenue that category we're in has generated. So you might say the accounting business has generated, I don't know what the right number is, but 10 billion in the US based on accounting services being provided in the past year. That'd be a pretty normal kind of conversation. And that's good for an historic look backwards, for an accountant. And that's a great thing. CFOs do a lot of great work with accountants. But if you're trying to create something in the future that you can be confident people will want, you need a forward look that has no tie to any current product and or historical revenue. So that a lot of people say, of course, that's impossible. Well, it's not impossible if you redefine the market from the customer's point of view. They don't care about my solution or yours. They care about getting their jobs done. So that's the foundational premise of jobs to be done, the innovation approach. People buy products and services to get their jobs done. Just like we hire people to do jobs, doctors, carpenters, help with a move. We hire people to do jobs. We also hire products and services to do jobs. We hire drills to make holes. We hire vitamins to improve our health. We hire podcasts to gain
Help solve a
information.
problem.
Yeah, solve a problem or be entertained or make a ride commute more interesting. There are all kinds of things that people might do.
Yeah.
But if you redefine it as a group of people who share the same job or jobs to be done, that's a great market definition for innovation. Because if you can help that group of people get that job done better than current offerings, you can be confident you will have a valued and unique position in the marketplace, which, as somebody who does differentiation, those words probably resonate. That's a good old Michael Porter from like 30 years ago on what is strategy. And the most pithy line I've ever heard about what is strategy, he says, is it's forging a valued and unique position. And what we're doing is helping our clients forge a valued and unique position. Sometimes one feature at a time, but who cares? If you do 10 features and you create a valued and unique position for that feature to get that little thing done in a bigger job, you have, maybe it's a 1%, 2% improvement with each one of those features. You can have a breakthrough product without any big deal. It's not a big new product, but they execute on 10 or 15 things so much better. The product is overall a breakthrough.
So the same thing would be true of a service as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of people, usually in the service arena, will say, well, does this work for services? And it's a great question. And the answer is absolutely. And the reason it does is because, again, customers don't care about our solutions. They don't care if it's a product or a service. If you're helping them get their job done, they don't care. Give them a service that works, give them a product that works. Usually it's a little of both these days, but what they want is my job getting done.
And it's so it's a matter of identifying the things that are keeping them from getting that job done.
Yes, that's often a big part of core growth. I was mentioning there's core growth, driving revenue and core growth, which would be a market share increase in revenue growth. And that would be the strategy there, is what is impeding them from getting this job done better, and removing those things, removing those barriers. And that's part of what we do in our interviews, is find out where are they struggling, what are they trying to get done, what are the criteria they use to measure success, and where are they struggling. Those are the three key pieces of information at a simple level. But there's also, like I said, I didn't finish that example, and maybe I'll come back just because I think it does help flesh out the idea a little bit about jobs to be done. There are a lot of companies who are just looking for new revenue streams, as that accounting firm was.
Right.
And so, and I was getting to defining the market. The reason it's so important to define the market before you do anything is because you want to know, well, who are we going to talk to for the interviews, and what are the boundaries? What's the job conversation going to be with these target customers? So when talking with the partners, we realized their target customers are CEOs and CFOs in mid-sized privately held companies. So that's a nice definition of their target customer group.
And this was an existing target?
Yeah, they have a lot of people they'd love to have as clients in that target market.
Yeah.
But that's who they currently serve, correct?
Okay.
Yes. So I interviewed 24 CEOs, 24 CFOs on their behalf. 24 total, 12 CEOs, 12 CFOs, 12 non-customers, and 12 current customers. And since when you look at an accountant, this is a rich group of about 130, probably 160 employees, about 20 partners, and a lot of different skills. So when you think about what's the capability that they can bring to the table, it's really any finance or accounting related job to be done.
Right.
So that's how we framed the boundaries of the interviews in the market exploration. So I would go to that CFO or CEO, have a back in the day when we did face to faces, and sit down and say, I'm interested in understanding all of the important unsatisfied tasks. I sometimes the synonym tasks because I don't want to confuse them with HR jobs.
Yeah.
That are very important to you in the course of your work. Very important that these tasks get done. And forget about what solutions. I know that my client has introduced us, but this could be something you get done with an internal accountant or a software solution or a tax attorney. That's all separate and distinct. Today, I strictly want to talk about what are the tasks that are really important in the course of your work that are finance and accounting related that are not getting done to your satisfaction.
Yeah.
And they start rattling them off. And I start exploring, I start taking them down. There's a certain word format that can be important, particularly if we go into surveys. So this is probably worth just mentioning. You can do these things qualitatively, and I do a lot of them, and there's a lot of directional value. There's a lot of learning. GBQ, this is a public case, so it's not a big deal to mention their name. They went on with the results from just the qual to build 2 new internal practice areas because they saw some of the key jobs that their target audience wanted to get done were closing the books and other internal cost accounting issues. So it was plus, well, let me just stop there because that led to the one service area called financial performance improvement. So that was a new service line. And that was very good. The partners loved that because they wanted to give their associates different career paths. So they had 2 new service lines instead of just audit and tax now.
Yeah.
And they also recognized, and they had a budding succession, planning succession, turnover of leadership practice. But that was clearly one of the things that we heard a lot too. So they had confidence to move forward on that. But when you get a market view using jobs to be done with no solutions attached to any of these statements, like we'd like to prepare for succession, we're not pleased, there are a lot of financial issues because there's an equity transfer, we're not sure how to do it, we had so-and-so help, it wasn't very helpful, we're not really there yet, we postponed. You hear those problems, but because the job statements are framed in a way that doesn't have any solution language in it,
Yeah.
like close the books or whatever, you have the option as the leadership looking at this, the findings from the qualitative only in some cases, to say, well, my job is to lead them through this conversation to select which of these opportunities are attractive to you based on your opportunity, based on your ability, I should say, to address them and win in the market. We'll develop criteria, so it's quite easy to do, rate them, and we'll get a ranking, and some of the top rankings will be things that they, as an accounting firm that delivers their services through people, on site or through the phone or through the, spreadsheets, they wouldn't win because we're not competing. One of the great things, interesting things leaders often see and go, that's very interesting, is that the market's a lot bigger than they think because we're not defining it by their product or service category. So an accounting firm does not compete only with other accounting firms. They compete with anybody or anything that is helping their target customers get those financial and accounting jobs done. And that includes tax attorneys, TurboTax and other tax software products, internal accountants. All of that is a secondary issue. We shouldn't be injecting that into the conversation until we get really clear about which opportunities are attractive. And of course, they're not going to pick something to pursue with a build decision. This is where we talk about build or buy. Build something internally based on our succession planning expertise. One of the partners was already doing it. It's really blossomed since then. Or do we want to buy? And they said, yeah, we want to buy a cybersecurity firm because that's another problem that we're hearing from our customers. So it gave them great clarity and confidence to go out and buy a cybersecurity firm that's now part of their firm. It also gave them courage and confidence to do a joint venture with a temp accounting firm which has become a temp CFO firm. They've gone into the sort of the fractional CFO
Wow. Yeah.
services. They've partnered with an employee benefits firm. So they recognize these are all jobs that their target customers are trying to get done. It doesn't have to even be related to financial and accounting the way the project was initially framed. Those are all, any important unsatisfied job that their target customers trying to get done is a potential opportunity for them, new market opportunity for them.
So they are, in a certain way, at least in this example, identifying the target market in a somewhat conventional manner, because you just did CEOs, CFOs at
Well,
mid-sized
I'd say
firms.
for that half, yes, but what's I'd say unconventional is we're not talking about product or service at
Right,
all in the definition. So
right.
it's
You're going to go
what's
in and try to understand them better.
understand well even more precisely. I mean, that's often the language that we use, but I would encourage people to be more specific and say the job they want to get done, because we don't need to know about where they went to college, what papers they read, what their
Good
demographics
point.
are. That is extra. Now that's important in order to access them, to know where do I find these people. That's an important part of marketing, but not an important part for innovation. That's a very important distinction. People don't, I don't hire the Wall Street Journal because of my demographics. I hire it because I want to be up to date on certain news in the world and with business. I love reading about how companies are dealing with certain issues. I want to have that kind of ability to talk about those things when the occasion arises. I want to learn how people are doing strategy and innovation. So those are the jobs that no other paper I know of in the world does as well as the Wall Street Journal. That's why I hire it, to
Yeah.
get my jobs done.
So that did that get us through? So I know that the jobs to be done is like a 4-step process, and I think you just covered those 4.
Well, I can cover, there are 3 at a high level. They're really, I use 6 when I'm with my clients just because they're ready for it. I use 3 as an intro to keep it simple, but I'm happy to break it out as much as you want.
Well,
But
what I really wanted was just summarize that really what you're
yes,
saying is take a look at your market from your customer's point of view, which is what we're
yes,
hearing here is not what solution I need, but what I'm trying to accomplish that I'm having trouble with.
very well said. Yes, exactly.
And then you're going to find the opportunities that exist in helping them, that you can help them solve for the things that they brought up.
That's correct. And you can do that with qualitative interviews alone, as I mentioned, or, and may I just inject one thing here?
Please do.
And that is, if you have a complex project, like I helped Can-Am off-road vehicles, BRP, big company, 9 different vehicle platforms, over 70 different models. They wanted to upgrade their entire vehicle line, and you can't do that with interviews. There's too much going on. I mean, you just take 1,000 interviews or something to figure out how to, all the different things they could upgrade. But with jobs to be done, we can simply talk to a representative sample in each of those 9 groups. So there are 9
Yeah.
different vehicles. So we call that one group. When we interview them, uncover all the things that they're trying to get done with their vehicle, from totally utility vehicles like you see on golf course, or for different university management, all the way to high-end dune riders and racing side-by-side vehicles. So and then
Very different.
they're very different, and a bunch of hybrids in the middle. But people are trying to get different jobs done. So we'd figure out what are the jobs this group's trying to get done. That's the objective there. And the survey, then we put those needs statements into an online survey, and that's where you start getting, you start revealing the natural segments of opportunity, meaning people have preferences right now. You don't want to impose a segment scheme on people. You want to see, based on what they're trying to get done and how they evaluate their success with their product, how do people fit together, or are they different? That's jobs-based segmentation. So it's a much more robust, more predictable way to do segmentation and to uncover opportunities. So you can do it at the total market level. You can do it at different segments level or group level. But that's where the surveys can, the 3 benefits of the survey is you get statistically valid ratings on every needs statement, because people will be asked, how important is it to you that you're able to do X? And on the same needs statement, they'll also be asked, how satisfied are you with your current ability to do X? And it's a 5-point Likert scale. And if it's a 5 on importance, and let's say it's a 2 on satisfaction, there's an algorithm where you can see what the population score is. And you can put every one of the needs statements in a nice little 2x2. I would show this to you if I had thought about bringing it, but it's a nice little 2x2 where you have on the x-axis, the horizontal, you have importance and unimportant. So highly important is to the far right. Not important is at the cross of with the Y. And then the Y, the vertical is highly satisfied and low satisfied below that. And so you have 4 quadrants, and it's only those that rate as highly important, or I should say important and unsatisfied, that are actually opportunities for innovation and growth. If they're unimportant, then why waste your time? That's majoring in the minors, right?
Yeah.
If it's highly satisfied and unimportant, it's still unimportant. And actually that might be an opportunity to remove functionality and complexity. If it's over satisfied, people may feel like, why am I paying for all this functionality? It's unimportant. So that's one of the first things we look for when we find things fall into that quadrant. And then the top right, if you're with me on the visualization, this is highly important and highly satisfied. And that's sort of the table stakes, in that if you want to do something new, the market is currently satisfying those important needs. And they're very important for a startup or for something new, because you have to hit those metrics for parity. Right. You don't want to be at a competitive disadvantage because you weren't aware of them. So you definitely want to know them, but you're not going to get any differentiation. You're not going to rise above the noise by meeting parity. So the only ones that will give you differentiation, and they will do it in a repeated manner. That's why I use those words, repeatedly create a valued and unique position. And that's those that fall into highly important and unsatisfied.
So maybe you can give me a link to one of those charts that we can put in the show notes that people can see if they're if they want to take a look at that. What as a former marketing person, what I'm thinking when I'm hearing you talk about these conversations and this research is, oh my God, you're halfway or more than halfway to getting your positioning right when you do come up with these solutions, because you've done the right things in understanding what's important and needed by your buyers.
I love that. Yes. To build on that, it's sort of like you've heard maybe the old adage that a problem well-defined is half solved. I like to use a version for us, which is a customer need half well-defined is half satisfied. And what that means is when we go into ideation, so after we go through all of this, we have a short list, and maybe I could come back, let me come back to the 4 steps. I think this will all tie in together with the 4 steps. Right. So we started saying, redefine the market from your customer's point of view, find the opportunities in their market. Those are their unmet needs. And an unmet need is an important unsatisfied need. The more important and less satisfied a need is, the greater the opportunity for innovation and growth. So find their unmet needs, because those are your opportunities for innovation and growth. And you need to find a compelling unmet need if you want to create compelling new value. There is no such thing as creating compelling new value without an already existing compelling unmet need. A lot of people think that Steve Jobs created a new market and new needs, or Henry Ford, or pick your famous new the world case. Yeah. And that's a confusion between solutions and needs. People only hire products and services because they have a current important unsatisfied need. Now, people come like Steve Jobs did brilliantly with a solution that never existed before, and suddenly people buy it, and so they make a market in terms of financial remuneration for that product. But there were always people who had the job of wanting to listen for the iPod, let's say. People wanted to listen to music remotely back with the Walkman, and same thing with the Walkman. Sony did not create a market need. The need existed. They created a market of product that addressed an unmet need.
They found the need, yeah.
People don't hire things that they don't have an important unsatisfied need for.
Well, this has just really been awesome, Urko. I'm sure that the audience has taken a lot away from this. I know I have, and I think they probably will have some follow-up questions for you. What's the best way to get in touch?
Well, thank you. It's been fun. My website is revealgrowth.com. And my email is UW for Urko Wood, URKO Wood, UW@revealgrowth.com. And of course, I'm on LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook as well.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll put all of that in the show notes as well. And thank you again. And
thank you.
We're here on December 21st. So have a wonderful holiday.
Yes. Thank you,
Stay
Susan.
safe.
You too. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.